Welcome to The Explainer. So, for decades, global trade has really only cared about one thing at the border, right? The price tag. But today, we're diving into a profound shift in how the world does business. We're looking at a new policy that isn't just some dry, minor regulatory update. No, this is literally the starting pistol for a massive, high-stakes global economic competition. We're going to unpack exactly how this works and reveal how the worldwide race for industrial excellence has completely changed, almost overnight. Seriously, if you thought tariffs were just about trade wars, you are about to see how they're being used to re-engineer the entire global economy. Let's get into it. Historically speaking, a ton of carbon pumped into the atmosphere was basically invisible to customs officials. I mean, it didn't carry a passport, and it definitely didn't pay a tariff. But what actually happens when pollution gets a border patrol? Just imagine customs agents suddenly having to double as climate scientists. Well, that is the exact reality heavy industries are waking up to today. We are stepping into an entirely new era where the environmental footprint of a product is scrutinized just as rigorously as its financial value the second it arrives at a port. For a century, smoke billowing from a factory was just a local issue. Now, that exact same smoke is effectively being weighed, measured, and taxed from thousands of miles away. Crazy, right? And this brings us to a massive paradigm shift. We are moving completely away from the rules of the old economy. Think about it. In the past, if you could make steel, cement, or fertilizer cheaper than the next guy, you won the market. It didn't matter if you burned a mountain of coal to do it. It was a brutal race to the bottom on price, and the environment just quietly paid the hidden tab. But in the new economy, the metric for success has fundamentally transformed. Now you're competing on carbon efficiency. The winner is no longer just the cheapest producer, it's the cleanest, most efficient producer. This is literally rewriting the DNA of global supply chains. The old playbook of just offshoring your factories to the cheapest, dirtiest power grid, yeah, that's officially obsolete.
Section 1. The carbon pricing problem.
So here's the crucial point. Without equal rules across the globe, local climate policies can actually backfire big time. Picture a European steelmaker really trying to do the right thing under strict local environmental laws. But right next door, in a region with zero carbon taxes, a competitor's just churning out cheap steel using highly polluting coal plants. What happens? Well, the European factory might just pack up, move operations across the border to where the rules are looser, keep polluting exactly the same amount, and then just ship the finished goods right back into Europe. This systemic, totally frustrating problem is called carbon leakage. The emissions don't disappear, they just leak into another jurisdiction. The environment doesn't win, and the local economy loses its industry. It's a complete lose-lose scenario that policymakers have been wrestling with for years.
Section 2. The new rulebook. Defining CBAM. Okay, so that critical acronym is CBAM, which stands for the Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism. This is a highly sophisticated cross-border tax mechanism, and it acts as the great equalizer. It essentially says, look, it doesn't matter where on earth you manufactured this product. If you want to sell it in our market, you are going to pay the exact same price for your carbon emissions as our domestic producers do. Boom! This kills the offshore pollution loophole overnight. It completely neutralizes the financial advantage of moving production to a country with weak environmental laws. You can run, but you definitely cannot hide from the carbon ledger anymore.
Let's walk through how this actually works as a tangible, step-by-step process, from the factory floor all the way to the market. First, a foreign factory produces its goods. Let's say it's a massive batch of industrial aluminum, destined for export. Next, those goods are shipped across the ocean and hit the border of the importing market. And here is where the magic happens. Customs officials don't just weigh the aluminum, they assess the specific carbon footprint generated to make it. If the manufacturer didn't already pay a carbon tax back in their home country, they are taxed right there at the border to make up the exact difference. Only after that carbon toll is paid do the goods actually enter the market. It's beautifully simple in concept, but absolutely revolutionary in practice. It literally turns every port of entry into an environmental checkpoint.
Section 3. The sprint. The new global race.
The urgent, high-stakes reality for industries falling behind on their emissions is honestly staggering. When you compare a clean, highly modernized producer with an older, heavily polluting factory, the difference is night and day. Under the old rules, the dirty factory might have been more profitable just by aggressively cutting corners. But under CBAM, that towering carbon footprint translates into a massive financial penalty. It's a bill that comes due every single time their products cross a border. If you're running one of those outdated polluting facilities, your profit margins are about to get entirely wiped out by carbon taxes. We're talking millions of dollars in unexpected tariffs. The stakes literally couldn't be higher, and it's sending major shockwaves through corporate boardrooms worldwide right now.
Because of that terrifying penalty risk, countries and corporations are making rapid strategic maneuvers to dodge these hefty border taxes and gain a critical edge. The scramble is absolutely on. They're pouring billions into upgrading outdated facilities with new tech. They're actively shifting entire global supply chains to source materials from greener jurisdictions. And most importantly, they are aggressively investing in clean energy to power their manufacturing. And let's be clear, they aren't doing this just for good PR. They're doing it for raw financial survival. For you, the consumer, this means the materials in everything from your car to your office building are undergoing the biggest green supply chain shift in history. If companies don't adapt right now, they'll simply be priced out of the global market.
Section 4. The finish line. Industrial excellence.
So what does it actually mean to cross that finish line first? Winning in this new paradigm requires a total, unyielding commitment. First up is maximum efficiency. You literally cannot afford to waste a single watt of energy or an ounce of raw material because every bit of waste is now a tax liability. Second is continuous green innovation. We're talking about finding totally new chemical processes to make essentials like cement or steel without emitting carbon in the first place. And finally, achieving sustainable supremacy. This means your environmental practices are so dialed in, so incredibly advanced, that your low-carbon footprint becomes this impenetrable financial moat against your competitors. Your clean operations become your absolute greatest asset.
As the source material perfectly puts it, this is a new race for industrial excellence. And I really want to emphasize that word, excellence. This is no longer just about filling out mundane compliance forms or doing the absolute bare minimum to avoid a PR nightmare or a regulatory fine. CBAM has completely flipped the script. It's taken environmentalism out of the corporate charity department and injected it right into the heart of hardcore, cutthroat capitalist competition. To survive and win, your industrial processes must be nothing short of excellence. Mediocrity will literally be taxed out of existence.
I'm going to leave you with this final thought to chew on. Who is actually going to win this new industrial era? The rules of global trade have forever changed. The carbon border is real, the financial penalties are incredibly steep, and the reward for innovation is absolute market dominance. Will it be the legacy manufacturing powerhouses who manage to miraculously pivot in time? Or will entirely new players emerge from regions armed with abundant green energy to claim the crown? The true winners of this global race are yet to be decided, and honestly, it's going to be absolutely fascinating to watch it unfold. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.